tonight is Margaret. So hello. Thank you so much for posting that photo of your cat. I thought it was super, super cute. And so let's get into this, whether or not you can restore some sense of balance in your life. So let's get into it. So I'm going to take a moment to shuffle the cards for you, and hopefully within the next couple of minutes we'll get to the answer. Oof. Okay, so I see that we're at a certain point in your life currently that you're having to make a decision. So the first thing that came out was the Five of Wands, that you feel like you are not doing the best things that you should be doing currently. You're giving yourself a really hard time instead of just going with the flow. And the other thing I see also is the Death card coming up. So you know in some way that you need to make some sort of change. So I'm going to do a very quick past, present, future on what you should do to alleviate these issues that you feel like you're going through. So the first card is the Two of Wands. So we were going along with the idea of the Two of Wands, like the sense of balance. So with that, I already can see that there's some sort of issue going along with that. And also the Seven of Cups. So maybe you feel like already there's a lot of opportunity ahead of you, and the biggest thing that's going on is maybe a lot of anxiety. So maybe the first step is to alleviate the anxiety so that you can figure out the type of opportunities that you want to pull. So the next card that I'm seeing is also the Knave of Wands. So the Knave of Wands deals with like creativity in some way. So maybe some people have offered you some sort of fun opportunity for you to kind of make some new achievements or some advancements in your life currently. But, you know, you're worried about whether or not you can financially sustain that. And that's why you're having that. Because right now, I think that you're on top of everything. But the things that people are asking you to do are not necessarily the most lucrative things that you could be doing, or even focusing your time on. So maybe you should take a step back and think about the ways in which you can provide success for yourself and maybe the people around you instead of making success for others. And maybe that would break down some of that anxiety. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next person. And this particular person, they go by Claudia, and they're wondering, is this the right time to move back? Is this the right choice? They're wondering whether or not they can make the choice to move back. All right. So I'm going to shuffle the cards for a second. And if anybody is on the air that would like to make a call, I have a few more spots for you. So if you feel like you're in the car right now and you're driving somewhere and you really, really, really feel like you need an answer, feel free to call in. We only have about 20 minutes left, so if you're there, feel free to call in. Okay, so, is this the right time to move back? It absolutely is, even though you feel a lot of guilt behind it. And I don't understand why you're feeling so much guilt. It's a new start. But you feel like it's an opportunity that you didn't want to look back upon. So it's a new time. But I think that maybe in this chance that you're moving back for it, that there's an opportunity for you to build yourself into a bigger person than you were before. This is a big character building moment, and I think that there's another sense of balance that's also going on that was in congruence with the previous card that we pulled for the other person. So we have the Two of Pence this time instead of the Wands. So in this one, it's more about finances than it was in the previous one. So, with that, I think you will be creating a lot of balance, but I think there's a lot of people that you're going to meet up with that you don't necessarily want to be involved with anymore. So that'll be something to definitely think about. But I think it's definitely the right time. If you were to stay in town, I think that you would end up having oppositions maybe with some other people, with the Five of Swords coming up. Or maybe there's some sort of situation that you don't feel like there's a correct answer to it. And maybe you just end up spending too much time dwelling on the same things over and over. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Sydney. And she's wondering whether or not she's on the right path. And whether or not she should be focusing on those things that she's thinking about currently. So I'm going to shuffle the cards a little bit for her. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask, feel free to ask a question. Alright, so the other thing that I forgot to drop is that I built the synth that I'm currently talking through from scratch. So if you do want to build a kit like this, you totally can. It's from Music from Outer Space, and it's got 2 different oscillators within it, and an LFO, a delay, and all kinds of crazy stuff associated with it. So you can hook up a guitar if you want to. Right now I currently have a mic into it. But yeah, feel free to do whatever you would like to do with it. Okay, so Sydney, are you on the right path? Is this the right place for you to be? The first card that I pulled for you is the Nine of Swords. So I know, yes, MFOS is badass. Thank you so much, Joe. Yeah, so the first card that I pulled is the Nine of Swords, so I know that you are definitely in a position to be, you know, very anxious and very like maybe overly dwelling on like the things that are negatively going on currently and not being able to focus your mind on the ways in which you can be more successful and the ways that you can make more money. So that's definitely on your mind. And the thing that you're currently going through is cutting out a lot of things that are like not necessarily what you should be focusing like your time on. You're definitely thinking about a lot of things that aren't important to you. And I think the minute that you cut out a lot of these distractions, that you'll be a lot more successful. But currently, you're not. But it'll happen. The Six of Wands is coming up, so I definitely see that once you can focus your mind, that you will be able to find something a little bit more your fancy. But until then, it won't happen. You really need to cut out the extra fat, the way in which people usually think about with a Saturn return or things like that. So coming up, alleviating maybe some of the arguments that are coming up and thinking about the balance that you should be creating. So I do think that you're on the right path, but you're focusing on maybe too many things that are distressing you and not really necessarily the things that are making you happy. Yes. So thank you so much for the 9OS Libra season shout out. Casey Flowers, I see you. I don't know if we have enough time for another reading, or if we want to play another track. I don't know. We need to take a break. How are you feeling?
Oh, fine.
Okay, so we have another person, and this is another, so all of the questions that I got tonight are absolutely all about whether or not they are creating balance and if they are being true to themselves, which I feel like is definitely some heavy Libra energy. And anytime we have an opposition, it's definitely people that don't feel like they're going the right way. Like they're wondering whether or not they have stability, or whether or not they're on the right path, or whether or not a relationship will last long enough. It's wild. Okay, so I'm going to do that last reading, and then if we have a song to play, we might lead out with that. I'm not really sure. But thank you so much for the kind words on Facebook Live. I appreciate it. Libra. Okay. So this is for Chelsea. So I'm going to keep shuffling these cards for a second. Happy birthday to anybody that is this weekend. I hope you had a lot of fun tonight. And anyways, this is a shout out for you. I hope it's a great birthday. Okay, so Chelsea, can you trust yourself? Is it okay to settle? I think the truth of what is going on is that it's the first time in your life that you've had any sort of stability. And I think in some way it's kind of terrifying. Because I think you're used to having to really work at it and maybe not having a lot of money or resources your way for you. But this is a first time for that. And so it takes some time to get used to it. So in the present, I think you need to listen to your inner voice and stop thinking about what your intuition should be saying and just be strong. And there's a lot of new changes coming forward for you, and maybe a new business opportunity. But anyways, thank you so much and have a wonderful, wonderful time.
Thank you, Goddessgoddard, for coming out. What a fun session
What a
that was.
treat.
Hold on, let me turn on. Oh no! Everybody go to Buzz Brews.
Yes.
Woo.